scared. I'm not completely unaware.
A vast building of endless corridors and eerie spectres await the most haunted team as they check into America's famous Stanley Hotel. And this week I've brought my team to a place that's linked to a famous horror writer and to possibly one of the scariest films ever made. This place is filled with ghostly children, phantoms and poltergeist activity. Welcome to Most Haunted and to the Stanley Hotel, Colorado. Completed in 1909 by Phelan O. Stanley of the Stanley Steamer Motor Company, the Stanley Hotel is located within sight of the Rocky Mountain National Park, offering views of the magnificent Rockies to its guests. It originally catered for the rich and famous, which included world leaders and a whole host of Hollywood A-listers. The hotel also counts the writer Stephen King as one of its illustrious guests. King gained inspiration for his novel The Shining here. Contrary to widely held opinion, King did not write the book here, and nor was the hotel used as the location for Stanley Kubrick's celebrated cinematic adaptation of the novel. After spending time in the area recuperating from tuberculosis, F.O. Stanley dreamed of a world-class resort extolling the virtues of the dry, clean Rocky Mountain air. In 1907, construction began on the Stanley Hotel. This is the room that Stephen King stayed in whilst visiting the hotel, and it's reported that he saw the ghost of a little boy crying out in a distressed state in the corner of the room. Now, many hotel guests have seen this thing and have been absolutely frozen in terror at this alarming spectacle. Also, the ghost of a maid has been seen walking across the floor, and she seems to disappear in this spot. Now, there have been many famous guests staying in this room, 217, including Jim Carrey. Apparently, in the middle of the night, he phoned reception asking to be moved to a different part of the hotel. Still, to this day, he refuses to reveal what frightened him so much. This is the basement area, out of bounds to hotel guests, and a place that hotel staff do not like to venture. It has an oppressive atmosphere and is said to be haunted by the ghost of a little girl who wanders endlessly around this place. But who was she, and how did she die? The fourth floor is where paranormal activity reaches its crescendo. Unexplained bangs, crashes and strange noises have been heard emanating from within the rooms. Guests have checked out early, complaining that children playing in the corridors have kept them awake at night. But there are no children in the hotel. The eerie sound of a bouncing ball has been heard by guests and staff alike, when there is no such toy to be found. Given the illustrious history of this iconic hostelry, what has historian Leslie Smith, with the help of the hotel's concierge Billy Ward, uncovered regarding its incredible past?
F.O. Stanley, an extraordinary man with a brilliant mind, he came here because he was told he had tuberculosis, he only had 6 months to live, and it was believed that the mountain air would help him. That was the great treatment for tuberculosis at the time. He came here and built himself an incredible hotel.
Now, what we are most famous for is being the hotel where it was the inspiration for The Shining. They call this the Shining Hotel.
In 1973, a writer came here, a writer by the name of Stephen King, and stayed here one night. In doing so, he got a sense of the isolation of this place, particularly when the snow falls.
While Stephen King and his wife were here with us, they stayed in one of our more famous rooms, room 217. 217 in The Shining is the Red Rum Room. Red Rum, murder spelled backwards. Probably the oldest story in the hotel involves 217. 1917, there's a gas leak. The maid was up there on the second floor lighting lamps. She went to 217, the room blew up. The whole front of the hotel. When that happened, it blew a hole in the floor. The maid fell through the hole. Probably it saved her life. Instead of getting blown up, she fell through the floor. F.O. Stanley, he was such a good guy. He paid all of her bills, all of her medical bills, put her up in the hotel, ended up giving her a raise and a promotion. The maid, her name was Elizabeth Wilson. Mrs. Wilson was so thankful for the way F.O. treated her. She worked for the hotel into the 1950s. Well, it's believed Mrs. Wilson is still with us in the hotel, still up in 217. We still get stories up there quite often. People check in, they'll put their luggage in the room. They'll go out horseback riding or hiking. They'll be gone for a couple hours. You get back to the room, all your clothes are put away in the dresser drawers. It's Mrs. Wilson still doing her job up there.
It is not often the team has the opportunity to investigate such an amazing location that has played host to so many famous people, and one that is still playing host to guests today. I asked parapsychologist Dr. Kieran O'Keefe what we should be aware of throughout tonight's investigation.
It's so exciting to be here. I've been a fan of Stephen King since a young boy, and to be here in the hotel that inspired one of his best stories is just fantastic.
I know, and I'm staying in his room.
That's right, in room 217.
How scary is that? I hope nothing happens. Well, I should be saying I want something
to happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the hauntings straight away, and there are many different ones in different areas of the building. Tell us briefly about them and what excites you about them.
The main focus for the investigation and for any experiments are going to be the 4th floor and some of the rooms in the 4th floor where even some of the crew are staying.
And what intrigues you?
The main thing, which I think everybody's heard of, is the sound of children playing, that exciting sound. And it's hopefully something that we can capture tonight. It's going to need lock-off cameras, it's going to need some auditory equipment.
Now, we're in a difficult situation here at the Stanley Hotel because, of course, it's an open hotel and there are people staying here, they're staying in the rooms. How is that going to affect our investigation?
It's something that the team just has to be aware of. There is going to be lots of extraneous noise coming from the rooms. If we're investigating the 4th floor as a whole, we have to listen out for the noise of TVs, for example, or people just chatting, or even just walking around in their rooms. It's a very creaky floor, that whole 4th floor. But at the end of the day, the Stanley Hotel have been extremely accommodating in giving us access to areas and even encouraging people to try and stay in their rooms when we're conducting investigations. So we just have to be grateful for that.
Joined by medium and psychic artist Brian Shepherd, the Most Haunted team prepare to investigate the Stanley Hotel. What lies in wait for us over the coming hours of our vigils?
Hang on, people have left this room in a hurry, haven't they? Child reaching out, help me.
Really?
Help me. There was quite a traumatic event.
I'm scared, I'm not completely on my own.
What was that?
Just move around.
Upstairs.
The Most Haunted team are on the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in the state of Colorado. We're here to carry out a paranormal investigation into the infamous Stanley Hotel, the inspiration for writer Stephen King's chilling book, The Shining. Still very much a working hotel, we begin our inspection of the Stanley with a lit walk-around.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Well,
Do you sense anything as soon as you come into this main area?
you do. There's an immediate energy throughout the area, throughout the room. It is intense. Probably the owners of, you know, the people who actually built this.
And they haunt here, or you just sense that their presence is visiting, or...?
No, I think they, if you like, to use that word haunt, because it's very much their domain, it's very much their home, yeah?
Right, okay.
So there's an emotional connection.
Yeah,
to
an
this place.
emotional connection.